Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at Rhyperior as the Shadow variant in the Open Ultra League. And this is going to be the most difficult Shadow Pokemon to get, especially right now, but in general I think it is the most difficult Shadow Pokemon to get because this Pokemon is only available at the second tier basically, so basically the second Pokemon that you can encounter from some trainers, so like you cannot get it as a first encounter, and this basically means you have first off, like a 30% chance or something to have it as a secondary Pokemon for this kind of trainer, which is just the ground trainer. But then you only have a 10% chance in order to actually get the encounter of it. So basically you have like a somewhat like point whatever or like some 1% chance or whatever to get it. But you have to have this 1% chance on just the ground type trainers to get this Pokemon. So it's an insanely rare Pokemon to get. So definitely interesting here that we were able to get this very fast. I got it I think on my third encounter or like my third try where I had Rhyhorn as the secondary Pokemon of the grunt. But this is definitely an interesting Pokemon, and I have to say something before we also start. I made a mistake. Here you see me running Breaking Swipe, which is of course the correct move to go for. I only realized around like 7 games in that this Pokemon actually learns Breaking Swipe. I looked at PvPoke and saw, okay, the second move was blue, so I thought it was Surf, but yeah, they learned Breaking Swipe since this season, so I only have 3 battles here with Breaking Swipe. There were definitely some kind of scenarios where Breaking Swipe would have been kind of nice for me, but we're going to talk a little bit about this later on as well. Just want to be clear about this. And again, you see every battle that I did with this team, so you can see also every kind of thing here. Here we're actually going to be able to take this Ice Punch still and die perfectly onto the move, so that's great for me. Moving on into the next game, we're going to encounter here the Galarian Stunfisk in the lead. There's going to be an interesting matchup as well, so we can go ahead and go for the Shadow Ball against the opponent, which is going to do hopefully enough damage to put them into range for just a Seed Bomb, but the opponent decides to use a shield basically immediately. Allowing us to let this next move go through, it's just going to be the Rock Slide, is of course the Earthquake going to be resisted. I tried to catch a Rock Slide, did not work out at all, but we are running an ABB line, so you kind of have to keep your lead alive, because otherwise you're going to have some issues against some certain Pokemon in the back. For example, something like the Venusaur here, which is going to be a little bit of a trickier one to deal with my Rhyperior. So you're going to be able to go for the Stone Edge here, which is going to be able to get the opponent low. And of course they're going to survive with 1 HP here, because why not? Okay, I think it's like 2 HP or something. Let's see how much. Actually, it's 3 HP exactly, because we can lock on them down. We barely don't get to the Earthquake. I decided to go for Earthquake on the, on my Regirock, because if you saw my video earlier on, basically I encountered nearly in every single game a Toxicroak, and I thought it would be a cool move to maybe like get them out of the way and try to knock them out with this one. Turns out I didn't encounter a single Toxicroak, of course, when I play a team where I tried to trap it, but that's great for me, as we're going to be able to go up against a Cresselia here, which can just go for the double super effective Grass Knot if they're running this, but we can still go ahead and go for the Breaking Swipe, which is going to get the attack drop onto them. They're going to go ahead and go for their charge move, which is actually the future side, so they're not running the Grass type move, which is kind of funny, so it allows us to go for another charge move, but sadly, we are going to be a little bit low as well, and we are not going to be able to survive a future sight or a Moonblast from this range. It's going to be the Moonblast, and it's going to be a very good game. Next one, going to be, of course, again, a horrible lead for us. Honestly, I just couldn't really catch a break again. Like, it was basically similar to what I already encountered with my Gengar video earlier on. I actually don't want to know how much I dropped today, because I dropped quite a bit. And I don't even think it's really always because of the Pokemon that I was playing, but more because I got hard counted literally every game. So here we're going to encounter, of course, the opponent's Virizion, which I can still go ahead and go for a Stone Edge against. I don't have the Focus Blast, which would be neutral. But you're going to lose the matchup anyway, so like I rather would have liked to flip the matchup against a potential Toxicroak, which again, I've never encountered, because why would I? But yeah, here we're going to be able to at least still shield up the opponent's Dark Pulse, which is going to do no damage against us, as we can still go for a Breaking Swipe, which is going to get the opponent low. Maybe low enough for a farm down. We are running, by the way, Smackdown, because Mudslap is going to be a little bit worse in the current meta. Smackdown does also, I think, 1 more damage compared to Mudslap, which is kind of nice. But you're going to be able to beat something like a Mandibuzz like this, while Smackdown only going to flip the match up against Steelix again for you, which is kind of nice. And I don't think I encountered a single Steelix either, so like that's kind of fine for me. But here we're going to be able to still go ahead and go for some charge moves. But sadly, the opponent going to run a Pokemon that would have been perfect for my Rhyperior in the back, but not for the Trevenant, of course. Next one going to be here the Heliolisk, which is going to be interesting as we can go ahead and go for a charge move against the opponent's next Pokemon. Here we're going to go into the area where we don't have Breaking Swipe yet. And this was actually the first game I think that I battled with this team, which was kind of funny because we have Heliolisk, which is a normal type against our Ghost type in the lead, which is a bad matchup actually for our lead Trevenant, which I found kind of sad as well. Here we're going to have the Rhyperior, which also going to have access to Aerial Ace, which is going to be a great coverage move for Trevenant. And guess what they're going to have in the back? If they're going to already have a Heliolisk in the lead, which is going to hard counter me, they're going to have another hard counter in the back, which is going to be another Grass type. Great, isn't it? Perfect. Like, again, this was the first game. This was, I think, not this. I think it was like the third game that I played with this team, which is going to be against an Ampharos, which is gonna be kind of fine for me, but the all-common Pokemon Conkeldurr is coming in here against my Say-Stop of Regirock. Like, literally see this Pokemon every single game. Why not? It's honestly, like, I don't really want to always complain in videos or whatever, but what am I supposed to do? Like, what am I seriously supposed to do? And no, the lead was not great against me for me as well, because the opponent is going to run Brutal Swing, which is going to be able to knock me out in the 2-shield scenario. So, like, we have to swap out anyway because we have an ABB line, and we just have to hope that they're going to have, like, something like the, I don't know, Thunder Punch in the back. No, they have Trailblaze, of course. So, yeah, this game is over. Thanks. Nice. Like, next game. Next game coming up here, we're going to encounter the Poliwrath in the lead. Great lead for us, actually, as we're going to encounter another Dark and Poison type Pokemon, and of course they are running the Awkward Tail here, which is going to be mainly awkward for us. We're going to be able to go for a Stone Edge here, because you have to go for 2 charge moves anyway, and I think Stone Edge plus Earthquake is the way to go, because Stone Edge does around like 35% health against the opponent. We're going to be able to knock them out afterwards with the Earthquake here, but in hindsight I shouldn't have went for the Earthquake, because I'm fairly certain that I would have been better off in general if I just went straight for Stone Edge. Stone Edge, mostly I wouldn't have knocked them out from this range yet, but it would have allowed us to maybe still realign later on, because now we're forced to go for another charge move. And yes, we're going to be able to go for another Stone Edge against the opponent, which is going to get their charge move as well, or the knockout. But at this point of time, the opponent gets so much energy that they're going to have more Awkward Tails against our Rhyperior in the back. And yes, Rhyperior is going to have a little bit of a difficult time here right now, as we're gonna get the Awkward Tail onto us. It does basically like 75% damage. I tried to catch a move, did not work out at all. And so we're going to be unaligned. The opponent has, of course, a hard answer against Trevenant in the back, and this is basically it. Next one coming up, we're going to have another horrible lead force. It's going to be the Grunt, but they're running Tackle, which is a little bit better for me. I can overfarm by quite a bit, no swap out. I like, honestly, like, again, what am I supposed to do? Like, what is, it's just, honestly, I can't anymore. It's also not that I'm going to encounter like all the same teams the entire time. No, I encounter completely different teams that all completely hard counter the ones that I'm running right now, which is amazing. So we're going to at least still be able to hit the Earthquake there. Of course, you're going to die exactly on the charge move, which would have been amazing if I could have got this one off, because it would have forced a shield here, but again, our luck is definitely not there today. Like, honestly, today was wild. For Haunter, it was already wild, but we still were able to get some wins there. It was kind of, like, it was still kind of awkward. Here we're going to have, like, a lot of very difficult matchups, but there were actually still some games that we were able to win with Rhyperior, so, like, don't think that I went I actually don't think I went 0-5 a single time, which is kind of funny. But it's not definitely not this game here. Of course, also the games are not in order again, but yeah, like, there is no lot that I can do about it. Unless the opponent going to let this superpower go through, there's no lot that I can do here, and the opponent going to decide to shield it, and this is a good game. Next one coming up, we're going to encounter the Berisian here in the lead, which is going to be okay for us, which is fine, but we're going to now see the opponent swapping out into the Walrein. Again, I should have had the Breaking Swipe here. Like, again, this would have been one of the matchups where it really would have helped me to have Breaking Swipe, because now I'm forced to kind of go for the Surf. It does not really matter at the end of the day, though, because I'm going to be able to get the shield here and can still realign with just using both of my shields. But also it would have been mostly better to go into my Regirock here instead, but I can still even reach the superpower, so at the end of the day it actually did not matter that I didn't have Breaking Swipe. I'm gonna get the damage onto the opponent anyway, which I want to get off, and the opponent going to have a Magnezone in the back. They are running the Spark still, which I kind of find interesting. I don't know why, honestly, like, Volt Switch is, in my opinion, just straight up better. But I decided to go for the Earthquake just to troll a little bit and showcase my spicier move here, which does not work out at all. I can still go for at least a Stone Edge before before the opponent goes for a charge move, but it's not going to look too good as it's not going to do enough damage here to knock them out. They can farm you all the way down, which is really awkward, as now I am going to have to take the wild charge, but I can still knock them out as the opponent swaps back into the Rarest. And luckily, they are going to go ahead and go for the Sacred Sword, which I find interesting, because if you have Leaf Blade is better, and if you have Stone Edge is better. Sacred Sword is the worst move you can go for, so weird. Next opponent here going to be the Trevenant against Trevenant lead. But it's kind of awkward for us because our backline is so weak, we're kind of being forced to swap out eventually, but the opponent decides to swap out first into their Kingdra, allowing us to go for a bait first with the Seed Bomb here, and they of course shield this move up as I can go for a Shadow Ball afterwards, which is going to do a ton of damage if it would land, but the opponent decides to shield up both of the moves, which is kind of awkward for us because Kingdra is going to be able to go for Octazooka, but luckily, finally we're actually getting the 50% coin flip onto our side. The opponent doesn't get the debuff, which at the end of the day I don't think really matters too much anyway, because they're forced to go for another charge move anyway, so yeah, I don't think it really matters too much, but I'm going to be able to at least survive this one, which is kind of nice, and I can swap into my Rhyperior, and this was actually the second game that I played with this team. So we have Trevenant in the lead, which is kind of neutral, and in the back already one Water-type Pokemon, but one Water-type Pokemon is not enough for us. We're going to have another one in the back with the Tapu Fini. So after basically having the double grass backline, we're going to encounter double water backline basically back to back in actually real time, which I found really nice as well for myself, as we have a backline that is weak to both of those typings. But we're going to be able to go for the Surf still. Again, Breaking Swipe actually does not matter here at all. I would have had to go for the Superpower, so it does not really matter too much. Here I can at least still go for the Superpower, which the opponent going to let go through. I guess Breaking Swipe might have knocked them out here. I'm not sure about it, I don't know, but it could have. Maybe this would have changed something. But we can move on to the final game of today's video. We're going to, of course, cannot catch a break at all today. Horrible lead with Glasgow again. I actually definitely tanked more than 200 points today, which is really wild. Honestly, I barely have days like this, to be fair, so I'm okay with having those once in a while. Of course, I'm like complaining a little bit on YouTube for it or whatever. Like at the end of the day, I don't really care too much about it anyway. It is totally fine. Like it is totally okay. It's just always kind of funny. Like honestly, today was just not my day, but those days happen. And like other days, you're going to be able to hardwall the opponent. Basically, this is a thing as well, which you kind of have to think about, and which kind of also destroys all arguments towards the algorithm, which like some people say, if you lose the lead, someone else wins the lead. So, like, why is there a certain algorithm or whatever that just going to not benefit you or whatever? Like, it's just RNG. Like, sometimes you get a good lead, sometimes you don't. It's just matchmaking. That's totally normal. And that's totally fine as well. Here we're going to still be able to smack them down. Let's see if a Breaking Swipe would have helped me out here. Let's see. We're gonna now see the opponent going into their Trevenant. And yes, it would have helped me out quite a bit, to be fair. So again, Breaking Swipe would have been the better move onto the Rhyperior. At this point, of course, I only realized late on. And also, I only have like around 10 charge TMs left, and I still haven't even got rid of like frustration on the Pokemon that I need to get rid of. So that's kind of nice. But you're going to be able to go for a Stone Edge, knock them out, and it's going to be just the Cresselia in the back, where we're going to have a great time here as I can let this move go through. The opponent is going to undercharge it a little bit too much, and the Stone Edge is going to be able to annihilate the opponent's Cresselia. So we can just smack them down twice, and that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.